So I'm Toby Heddinghaus. I live on the end of Hollyhock. We moved here in June of 2019. So
Okay.
this is coming up on my 5th summer
Nice.
here. So yeah.
What brought you to the lake?
Well, we actually lived on the other side of town over by the country club. And we were we were coming up to a point on our house where we needed to probably redo the kitchen and probably redo the backyard. And so it was going to be a kind of a big investment in our house. And so just on a whim, I said, maybe we ought to think about investing in another property instead of our own, our house. Maybe just kind of start out fresh, And I didn't know anything about. I didn't even know Dunlap Lake was over here, and I'd been living over by the country club for almost 10 years. I didn't really know anybody on the lake, but got on Zillow, and there was a house on there, and it piqued my interest, and we tried to learn more, and it all just kind of fell into place. So.
Nice. What do you know about the history of the lake? How's it changed over the years, or how's it changed since you've been here?
Well, obviously the big master plan projects have certainly changed since we've been here. I was elected to the board February of 2020, so the first meeting was converted to Zoom, so it was all through COVID. But yeah, it feels like the biggest change I've seen is a lot of work on houses, and seems to be a lot of people investing a lot of energy and money into properties on the lake. So
Yeah, they're really fixing things up.
yeah.
What are your first memories of the lake?
Well, I guess when we were looking at the house, the first couple of times that was in 2019, obviously, but it was just kind of remarkable when we toured the house and looked out and over the lake, how it was it was like an oasis in the middle of town. It was hard to process at first, because I grew up boating like every weekend out in rural lakes and things like that, and it was always kind of an investment of time to load everything up, get out to the lake, and come back, and just seeing a place so close to all the other stuff that I did. I go to St. Boniface and all the stuff downtown, and having it be so close and not ever knowing it was there was just really remarkable. So seeing all the boats come, all the pontoon boats going in a circle near the house, just right outside your door, was some of the first things I remember that was, early memory and remarkable to me. So.
The idea you can be on the lake in the morning and do your activities in the afternoon,
Yeah.
or the other way around.
The other way around, yeah. You get off
You
work
take the
and
kids
jump on the
during
lake,
day
yeah.
and- Yeah. So what does your family thought of the lake?
Immediate family, so Shauna and the girls, yeah. They love it. They're wondering why we didn't do it sooner, and probably would have if I'd had known more about it. But yeah, they've really enjoyed it. We've actually spent most of their high school years now on Dunlap Lake. Ella's graduating this weekend. So they were really happy that they got to spend the time here with all of their friends at this age, to be able to have a place to entertain and be on the lake and host a lot of things. So I feel like it actually allowed us to have our kids closer during high school, versus them always going to other people's houses. So.
Well, you jumped in on the board really early here, and have really been a part of the master plan and the big capital improvements. So tell us about how you got started on the board and some of your first projects there.
Well, so yeah, we got here in 2019. Advertisement for openings on the board came out, and I just asked my wife if she thought it'd be a good idea, and I thought it would be a good way to learn a lot or meet a lot of people quickly, and see how I could help on the lake. And it happened to be that I came on right after the decision to do the master plan was already made by the previous board, and so I feel like I kind of stepped into it when there was a lot of momentum already in place, and it definitely interested me as I learned more about what was coming along at the lake.
So the master plan was not written then?
It wasn't written, but it was approved to create it. So my I was, I guess, elected onto the board at the meeting where it was the town hall type session where residents could go up and mark on the boards and express all their ideas in a public setting at the annual meeting. So I was kind of learning about it all at the same time, all the residents were. So
And now you're seeing it kind of come to life.
yeah, for sure. I wasn't involved in the decision to do it, but I was involved in working with Heartlands to actually create it. I was able to contribute some input on how the format would look and a lot of the goals that we were trying to achieve. So, yeah, it was interesting to be involved in the development of it and the rollout of it.
Tell us about that process.
Well, it was kind of interesting. At the time, I think before that time I had done maybe one Zoom meeting, and we immediately went into, tens to, maybe 100 meetings, just board member meetings, and then also just interim meetings where we were developing the master plan. But Heartlands had a really good precedent that they had done before, and a great framework. And really, it was just kind of answering a lot of questions, helping with exhibits to go into the master plan. But I think it was developed in such a way that it really listened and it really focused in on all that feedback they got from that first meeting. I think it was relatively easy to articulate all those goals for the lake that maybe had been somewhat disjointed through the years, but it brought it all together into one document that we could always refer back to. So
We need a clear priority.
yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think at interim board meetings during that first half of 2020, there was progress points where we would kind of let the board know where things were headed, what we were hearing, and how it was getting documented. And it was interesting how it didn't seem like we had to steer off one way or the other. It was very clear that the board always, their goals were always very clear to the board, but it wasn't until it all got documented that everyone realized that everybody had the same goals for the lake. So
You said start your sentence was the priority was, and so the priority was the spillway.
oh, I see.
We're going off of my words, and I want you to say the word priority as you start the sentence.
Oh, I got you. Yeah. So the priority, obviously, the health of the lake, and the health of the lake translated into actually the lake just maintaining itself. Not eventually being a meadow, right? So we had to work on the spillway. The spillway was really antiquated. It hadn't been really not much had been done to it for many years, and it didn't have the capacity to handle the storm events that occur on the lake. My dock, for instance, it would raise 2 or 3 feet at times. Where sometimes the dock would be underwater, the lines would be stretched on our boat. But since now the new spillway is done, the lake regulates its normal pool very quickly. And it's a safety thing too. I mean, you don't have that additional capacity up against the dam, so it gives everybody a lot of peace of mind to know that spillway is operating properly. So that was the first priority. Then we're working on the sediment coming into the lake for a long-term solution there. That project is currently underway and nearing completion, hopefully very soon. Third project would be future dredging throughout the lake, so that we can maintain lake depth in all areas of the lake. So that requires a sediment basin that's under construction right now, and then also a strategy for removing silt in the future through dredging. So creating the dewatering facility is something we need to work on in the near future. And then beyond that, we've got all of the other ancillary elements of the master plan about improving lake access on the lake, to create more dock capacity for folks off the lake who don't have frontage on the lake, and then improving all the other common areas so that they're all that they all have amenities that serve the entire lake. So.
A lot to do.
A lot to do, yeah.
There's a lot of stuff.
But it's great that there's been this much progress in a short amount of time. You know,
There.
I think the master plan created the ability to get the funds we needed to do it, to do all these projects, which required annual assessment increases over a period of time. But, you know, the scale of these projects didn't align with the assessments that were in place when we started the master plan. And so I think we're finally to a point where we can have a sustainable fund for the lake to pay back these projects and talk about future projects. So.
You're talking about the master plan. It was also, Heartlands was able to help us with a lot of partnerships. It's like the grant was actually written by the county.
Right. Yeah. So Heartlands has lots of experience writing for grants and finding grants that could help associations like us because we contribute to the watershed that comes through here, and so we're actually the work we're doing on the lake is actually helping downstream as well. So Heartlands has been really effective because they see a much bigger picture than just Dunlap Lake. They work regionally and can find things that we as just a volunteer board can't find. So, but yeah, it's been great, and the grant, the 319 grant that we were awarded for the Sediment Basin project has been instrumental in allowing us to do that project. So.
Neat. Have there been any particular moments or experiences that stand out in your mind since you've been here on the lake?
Gosh, let's see.
Any crazy stories?
Yeah, well, the
I've
story.
heard some good ones.
Yeah, the story about when the lake went down and someone found a wedding ring from, what was it, 50 years ago or something, and the resident still was on the lake and claimed it. That's an amazing story. Yeah, gosh. Yeah, nothing else jumps out right now, but.
That's a great one. What advice would you give someone who's new to the lake?
Well, I guess I've already sort of touched on it, but you know, if there's an opportunity to join the board or get on a committee, I would highly recommend it because it's sort of like a speed dating thing. You get to know a lot of people in a very short amount of time on the lake, and you know, you get to learn about the lake way quicker than you would just doing it organically. You know, living here, so. You know, all the history of the lake is inherently brought up in all these board meetings and just in the people you meet and talk to. So that's advice I would definitely give. So.
Yeah, it's been good. What do you think the future holds for the lake and the community that lives here?
Well, I think once we get these big projects finished, it's really going to stabilize the lake to a point where everybody else around the lake feels like they can really invest in their own properties. I feel like the property values should go up when you know, folks know that lake's going to be there long term and it's going to be maintained well. So that's exciting. You know, I feel like the community just seems to be more engaged lately. You know, like other programs. You know, like all the things that the events committees are doing. I'm kind of excited for the future for that side of things, you know, where people really kind of know the brand of Dunlap Lake and feel proud of it. And, you know, unlike me when I lived here for 10 years and didn't know Dunlap Lake was even just down the street, I feel like the word is going to get out that it's a great place to live and
Wear the T-shirts and
yeah,
a
exactly.
lot of good energy.
Yeah, for sure.
So are there any pieces of knowledge you'd like to leave with us, or anything I missed, anything you'd like to talk about, anything you want people to know about?
Pieces of knowledge. No, nothing comes to mind. Sorry.
That's okay. Anything you've learned working with the master plan that you think especially been important as we've gone through this process?
You know, I think the one thing that I feel like we could improve going forward, but it's extremely difficult, is like when we built the master plan, rolled out the master plan, communication was really high with all the residents to really, sell the idea of the master plan and go through the campaign it took to get the assessment changes made to facilitate the master plan. I think the amount of effort that takes is something that, in order to communicate future projects and to communicate the things that the board is doing, I feel like that's something that's going to be a challenge going forward that this board and all boards have to deal with, because it seems like it's very easy to communicate grievances through social media or through your neighbors, but really trying to harmonize all that, like get communications out before things can change or I'm trying to think, kind of flare up around the lake. So
we didn't used to even have a communications committee.
Right. Yeah. So that's been a huge step forward. But whether you're running a country or a lake, that communications is really hard to keep up with. But I think just constant reminders, and that's the one thing for sure on the board since I've been on the board is there's not one time where I've had a feeling like somebody on the board was working in their interest and not the lake, or anybody had any other motivations other than the health of the lake, doing everything they can for the lake. And so, reminding people that the board is working in their best interest and they're spending a lot of time on stuff that they really don't want to deal with themselves. So,
a lot of time, for these projects, there's been a ton of time put in on that.
Right. And it'll be fun when these are done, so we can just kind of do normal little board stuff. So.
We can worry about social activities again.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.